The Bonnie Blue world record attempt was sold to the public as a historic, high-octane moment for the adult industry. But the legal and financial reality behind her recent 10-year ban tells a much darker story about the true price of viral fame. For the past year, the creator known as Bonnie Blue, or Tia Billinger, has been playing an incredibly high-stakes game of cat and mouse with international authorities and platform moderators. While the public saw viral clips of record-breaking numbers and chaotic tours, the behind-the-scenes reality was a series of mounting legal fees, revoked visas, and a permanent exile from the major platforms that originally made her a millionaire. Today, we are following the money, the visa cancellations, and the legal filings to see how the most aggressive marketing strategy in the history of the Blue site finally backfired in a way that might be impossible to fix. We are going to answer three major questions. Why did the Indonesian government actually decide to deport her after months of presence? Is her ban from the major spicy platforms truly permanent or just a PR stunt? And did the infamous 1,000-man record actually bankrupt her brand instead of building it? To understand the downfall, we have to look at the massive gap between what we see on social media and what is happening in the courtrooms. The narrative on Twitter and X is that Bonnie is an untouchable rebel who beats the system. The reality, backed by business and legal receipts, is that she is currently a creator without a country, and more importantly, a creator without a primary platform. We are going to pull back the curtain on the outrage marketing business model to show you exactly how much it costs to be the most hated person on the internet. According to official reports from the Bali Immigration Office and local news outlets like the Jakarta Globe on December 11, 2025, the creator was officially deported from the island and handed a staggering 10-year re-entry ban. This wasn't just a simple misunderstanding or a tourist overstaying a welcome. Per the Bali immigration chief in a press conference held that same week, the authorities had been meticulously tracking a blue pickup truck emblazoned with provocative branding that had been circling the island during what is known as Schoolies Week. While the internet was led to believe this was just another successful stop on a global tour intended to break more records, the legal reality was much more intense. Allegedly, she was operating on a standard tourist visa while conducting what the local government classified as high-level commercial content creation. According to the police chief in the Badung region, she was subjected to daily questioning while her primary mobile devices and her passport were confiscated by the state. The shock here isn't just the arrest itself, it's that despite the viral narrative of extreme content being the cause, the official charges were actually tied to visa misuse and repeated traffic violations involving her branded fleet. This suggests a pattern where the creator's own marketing, specifically the highly visible branded vehicles, is exactly what leads to her downfall by attracting the very authorities she claims to be outrunning. The financial payout for this section is the realization that the tours she uses to generate content are now legally impossible in her two largest markets. This leads us to the most shocking point of this entire timeline, the one that truly changed the trajectory of her career around the 3-minute mark of her global rise: the permanent fallout from the world record attempt on the platforms themselves. Per The Guardian in July 2025, when the documentary titled 1,000 Men and Me aired on Channel 4, it revealed the massive infrastructure and the sheer number of people required to pull off such a stunt. However, that documentary served as a double-edged sword. While it brought millions of eyes to her brand, it also triggered a massive internal review at the world's leading spicy content platform. According to industry insiders and reports from financial analysts, in early 2026, the platform officially moved to ban her primary account, citing a violation of strict rules against extreme public challenges and non-professional safety protocols. This was a catastrophic financial blow that the public hasn't fully grasped yet. while she claimed in various podcast appearances to be making upwards of $2 million a month. Losing the primary hub for her subscribers meant her entire business model had to be rebuilt from scratch on secondary, less profitable sites. The receipts from social data around this time showed a massive drop in conversion rates. The audience that follows the drama for free on social media is rarely the same audience willing to jump through the hoops of signing up for obscure third-party platforms just to see her work. By chasing the record of 1,000 men, she effectively traded a long-term, stable, multi-million-dollar income for a short-term spike in fame that got her kicked off the only site that could actually process those payments. The legal pressure didn't stop in Indonesia, and it reveals a growing trend of national rejection for this specific type of creator. According to an A Current Affair report on November 3, 2025, her attempt to return to her home base in Australia for the annual Schoolie celebrations was met with an unprecedented revoked visa and a public petition signed by over 20,000 concerned residents. This highlights a massive shift in the industry's reality. In the past, outrage marketing was seen as a free way to get clicks and growth, but for Bonnie Blue, the outrage became a tangible legal barrier that prevented her from even entering the territory where her target audience was located. Per the South China Morning Post in April 2025, her specific strategy of targeting the barely legal demographic during high school graduation events was labeled as predatory by child safety advocates and government officials. This led to a level of scrutiny that made it impossible for her to secure standard work permits in major international markets. The financial cost of these travel bans is immense. Her entire brand relies on the touring model, traveling to a location, hiring a fleet of vehicles, and filming with hundreds of people in a short window. Without the ability to enter Australia, Mexico, or Indonesia, the Bang Bus fleet she often brags about in interviews is effectively stuck in expensive storage garages, costing her thousands of dollars in maintenance and security every month while generating zero new content. Further evidence of the brand's internal struggle appeared in June 2025, when a planned petting zoo event, a stunt where she would be displayed in a glass box for public viewing, was abruptly canceled at the last minute. According to industry reports and leaked emails from event coordinators, this wasn't just a change of heart or a scheduling conflict. Fellow high-profile creators, including names like Sophie Rain, began to publicly criticize the move, claiming it turned the entire industry into a freak show and invited unnecessary government regulation that would hurt smaller creators. This internal industry backlash is a key part of the reality that the viral clips don't show. When major agencies and top-tier creators begin to distance themselves because a brand is too hot or too toxic, the high-value collab opportunities dry up instantly. Per a BBC Sounds interview in August 2025, she even mentioned a desire to rebrand to move away from the extreme stunts, but as the December arrest in Bali proves, the brand is now a prisoner of its own reputation. You cannot spend a year building a brand on being a public nuisance and then expect the authorities to treat you like a standard business owner when you want to settle down. The technicalities of her current financial situation are even more complex than the social media drama suggests. According to the Jakarta Globe in January 2026, the Bali provincial government has actually used her specific case as a catalyst to implement new, much stricter proof of funds and intent of stay screenings for all international creators. This means her reality has actually changed the legal landscape for an entire region. Analysts suggest that the 1,057 men stunt was the absolute peak of an arms race in the adult industry that ultimately broke the market. When you deliver the most extreme premise possible, there is simply nowhere left to go but down. The financial receipts suggest that while the initial stunt brought in a massive one-time windfall of cash, the subsequent bans, the loss of her primary payment processors, and the endless legal battles have likely eaten through a significant portion of those liquid earnings. Per a report by Law and Crime in late 2025, the legal defense required to handle multiple interrogations in a foreign country where local laws are notoriously strict can cost upwards of $10,000 a day in retainers and translation fees alone. When you add the cost of being deported and banned from your primary place of business, the 1,000-man record looks less like a victory, more like a financial suicide mission. As we look at the final data points, it becomes clear that the expectation of being a viral queen is being crushed by the reality of international law. According to local reports from Perth in late 2025, even her attempts to host smaller, private events have been shut down by local councils before they could even begin. This is the delayed payout of outrage marketing. Eventually, the world becomes too small for you to operate in. The industry is currently watching Bonnie Blue as a cautionary tale. She represents the extreme end of the attention economy, where you win the battle for clicks but lose the war for sustainability. Her receipts now consist of deportation papers rather than bank statements, and her timeline is a series of banned notifications rather than content uploads. In summary, the story of Bonnie Blue is a masterclass in the dangers of the clout at any cost business model. She successfully captured the world's attention for a few months, but in doing so, she lost her access to the very platforms and countries she needed to sustain that wealth over a lifetime. The record-breaking numbers look good on a flashy headline, but they look much worse on a business balance sheet filled with legal retainers, storage fees for seized vehicles, and the cost of constantly flying to countries that haven't banned her yet. The industry takeaway is clear to anyone paying attention. Once you become a high-risk entity for the banks, the platforms, and the governments, the game changes from making money to simply trying to stay out of a foreign jail cell. The viral fame is a drug, but the legal reality is the hangover that never ends. If you want to understand how the rest of the industry is navigating these new aggressive regulations without getting banned or deported, you need to see the strategies the real professionals use to stay under the radar while still making millions. The game is changing faster than ever, and as we've seen today, being the loudest person in the room is often the fastest way to get kicked out of the building. To see the full breakdown of how the biggest names in the game protect their bags and their freedom, you need to watch our Velvet Rope Industry Secrets playlist next. It is the only way to stay ahead of the curve before the next major ban hits.